Jack Smith's Deposition, Part 19. State Court Ruling, Phone Records, and Trump's Attacks. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe and push the like button. What I'm doing right now is going through Jack Smith's deposition about what happened on January 6th and about his investigations. And this was a hearing in front of the House Judiciary Committee recently. The reason why I'm doing this is because it is important for every American to remember what Donald Trump did on January 6, 2021. That he incited an insurrection to cover up and to delay the certification of the electoral votes for the 2020 election that he lost. And that he also conspired to defraud the United States and American citizens of our right to vote. That is the truth, and no matter what Donald Trump and his loyalists keep saying to rewrite that history, we, the people, must push back every single time. So what I'm going to do now is read you the questions and then Jack Smith's answers. Question. Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and they changed all sorts of things in the 2020 election. For example, they said that election, instead of ending on ordinarily would end on a Tuesday, election day was going to end on a Friday. And the Supreme Court changed that and said that, signature verification wasn't required. The volume of absentee ballots was completely different than an ordinary election. There were over 2 million and, absentee ballots. And so, they keep saying, the Republicans, they just want to point out. We just wanted to point out and ask you the question, were you aware of all these irregularities and disparities because of COVID and so forth? So many times, many things had changed by the time it had gotten to election day in Pennsylvania. Smith, what I can say is that some of the issues you raised are sort of issues that a campaign or someone who is a candidate can raise in courts. And I believe a lot of these issues were raised in the courts. I think Donald Trump lost those litigations. And as I pointed out in our indictment, that bringing a lawsuit for some of the issues you talked about, that's the proper way to dispute these things. Or asking for a recount, as President Trump did in 2 states. Our case was about false allegations of fraud. Our case, the things you just mentioned, we didn't allege those to be part of the fraudulent conduct targeting a government function. And so again, those were issues that I think we were aware of in studying these things and in speaking to election officials there. But they're the sort of issues that are dealt through litigation in our system. And I think that's what happened in the election or after it. Question. Do you recall any discussions with Public Integrity about acquiring toll records, again back to the phone records, of congressional staff? Smith, one of the subpoenas we asked for the staff members of the House staff. And you remember who it was and what circumstance? Smith, I do. It was a staff member for Congressman Gomer. Question. So, Mr. Smith, you spoke earlier today about the threats and attacks made by Donald Trump against witnesses, prosecutors, judges who had challenged him, including threats against yourself. So did President Trump target you personally in posts on Truth Social? Smith, yes. Question. Are you aware, for example, that he called you a, quote, deranged lunatic, unquote, quote, Trump hater, unquote, and quote, psycho? Smith, yes. Question. Do you recall that on October 15th of this year, President Trump, speaking to reporters, standing next to the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General, said, quote, deranged Jack Smith, in my opinion, is a criminal, unquote. And then he also talked about investigating Lisa Monaco, Andrew Weissman, and Adam Schiff, saying, quote, I hope they're looking at all these people, and I'm allowed to find out. I'm in theory the chief law enforcement officer, unquote. Smith, yes, I'm aware of that. Question, and are you aware that the Supreme Court Question, Are you aware that President Trump posted on Truth Social on October 29th of this year that, quote, these thugs should all be investigated and put in prison, a disgrace to humanity. Deranged Jack Smith is a criminal, with 3 exclamation marks, unquote. Smith, that may be, and I know there were several posts like this. Question, do you think those were a potential direction to the Department of Justice to retaliate against you because of your role as special counsel in an investigation of him? Smith, yes. Question, and did President Trump or the White House take any action against your attorneys due to their relationship with you? Smith, yes. Question, and what action did they take? Smith, they filed an executive order against the law firm and sought to withdraw the security clearances of my attorney. Question, is the executive order still in effect? Smith, I believe it is. Question, what do you think was his purpose for issuing this executive order? Smith, to seek retribution against me. I think it's to chill people from having an association with me. Here we have Smith's attorney voluntarily saying, I just want to say for the record, we're still here, proud to represent Jack Smith. And I think that's really courageous of the attorney to say that. So once Trump took office, were members of the special counsel's office, were their employment affected? Smith, yes. Were they fired? Smith, yes. Are these career attorneys and agents? Is that right? They're not political appointees. They've served different administrations with different political parties at the head. Is that correct? Smith, that's correct. Question, do you know what justifications were given for terminating those staff members? My understanding is no justification was given. Question, are you aware of any reason to target these individuals besides their work on your investigation or association with your investigation? Smith, none, and I think it's a travesty. Question, do you think that firing all these public servants will make our country safer? Smith, no. Question, why not? Smith, I think when you fire people who are career public servants serving both parties over many decades, you lose the expertise about how to do the job properly. And that has an effect on the department today, and it will have an effect on the department for some time if those people aren't there to be leaders and to teach young lawyers how to be public servants. Question, do you feel like you have a target on your back? Smith, I believe President Trump wants to seek retribution against me because of my role as special counsel. Would you be surprised if President Trump directs the DOJ to indict you? Smith, no. Question, are you concerned about the safety of people who associate with you, like your former colleagues, your attorneys here today? Smith, I would prefer, if it's all right, not to talk about my safety because I think doing so could, in fact, endanger my safety and those people around me. So with that, I end this section of Jack Smith's deposition. And I think this last part is kind of stirring because Jack Smith doesn't want to tell a closed-door House committee what his security measures are because disclosing his security measures would endanger his safety. And so, I mean, you know, Jack Smith is living with this, not this fear, but with this understanding that he is very much being targeted by the most powerful man in the world. And Jack Smith still has no compunction about coming and testifying and telling the truth. That should give us pause to give credit to Jack Smith's bravery, his courage, and his conviction to keep going and tell the truth to the American people. With that said, I have one last episode coming up of this deposition saga, and with that, I close today's episode. Take care, everybody. Remember to subscribe and share this information.